In 1988, a 17-year-old Japanese girl who was kidnapped, tortured, and raped more than 500 times. When modern Japan is mentioned, people often think of its vibrant pop culture, including anime, video games, and its renowned cuisine. However, Japan's history also contains very dark and disturbing events. One such event is the tragic story of Junko Furuta. In 1988, Junko Furuta was a 17-year-old high school student attending Yashiominami High School in Japan. She was a bright, popular, and well-liked girl. Her peers described her as friendly, pretty, and kind-hearted. Junko's positive attributes extended beyond her personality. She was also diligent in her studies and held a part-time job to save money for college. Junko's combination of intelligence, beauty, and kindness made her particularly popular, especially among the boys at her school. She was known not only for her academic achievements but also for her ambition and dedication to her future goals, such as attending college after graduation. Hiroshi Miyano. Among the boys who noticed Junko was Hiroshi Miyano. Unlike Junko, Hiroshi had a very different reputation. He was a notorious bully with connections to the Yakuza, a powerful and dangerous organized crime syndicate in Japan. Despite still being in school, Hiroshi was already deeply involved in criminal activities, which gave him a sense of power and intimidation over others. The stark contrast between Junko and Hiroshi is significant. Junko represented the virtues of hard work, kindness, and ambition, while Hiroshi embodied the darker side of youth influenced by criminal behavior and violence. This juxtaposition sets the stage for the tragic events that would soon unfold, driven by Hiroshi's malicious intentions and criminal connections. Hiroshi Miyano, despite his involvement in criminal activities and reputation as a bully, developed a strong infatuation with Junko Furuta. His feelings for her grew to the point where he decided to propose to her, likely seeing her as a desirable companion due to her popularity, intelligence, and beauty. Hiroshi's confidence in proposing to Junko stemmed from his connections to the Yakuza, a powerful and feared organized crime syndicate in Japan. He believed that his affiliation with the Yakuza would make Junko feel obligated to accept his proposal. This sense of power and influence from his criminal connections led him to assume that Junko would not dare to reject him. In Hiroshi's mind, making Junko his girlfriend was more than just a romantic desire. He saw it as a way to enhance his dominance and status at school. Being associated with someone as admired and respected as Junko would, in his view, elevate his own social standing and reinforce his authority among his peers. To Hiroshi's shock and humiliation, Junko politely declined his proposal. Despite the implied threat from his Yakuza ties, Junko chose to reject him, likely because she did not reciprocate his feelings and perhaps sensed the danger in becoming involved with someone like Hiroshi. Hiroshi could not handle the rejection. The refusal not only wounded his pride but also challenged his perceived dominance and control. His inability to cope with the humiliation turned his infatuation into fury. Driven by a desire for revenge, Hiroshi decided to take drastic and malicious actions against Junko. This decision set off a chain of tragic and horrific events, fueled by his wounded ego and need to reassert his power. On November 25, 1988, Junko Furuta was heading home after her part-time job. Unknown to her, Hiroshi Miyano had devised a malicious plan. He instructed his friend, Shinji Minato, to carry out an ambush. As Junko rode her bike, Shinji suddenly appeared, kicking her off her bike before quickly fleeing the scene. Following their scheme, Hiroshi then arrived, pretending to be a helpful bystander who happened to be in the right place at the right time. He rushed over to Junko, helping her up from the ground. Offering to walk her home, Hiroshi gained her trust. Believing him to be genuinely concerned for her well-being, Junko accepted his offer. Tragically, this decision would lead her into a trap. Instead of taking her home, Hiroshi led Junko to an abandoned warehouse. It was there that he revealed his true, sinister intentions. He threatened Junko, warning her that if she made any noise or attempted to escape, he would kill both her and her family. Given Hiroshi's connections to the Yakuza, a powerful and dangerous criminal organization in Japan, his threats were incredibly frightening. Terrified for her life and the safety of her loved ones, Junko had no choice but to comply. Hiroshi then called upon his accomplices, Shinji Minato, Joe Ogura, and Yasushi Watanabe. The group forced Junko to Shinji's parents' house, which would soon become their main hideout. This house, under the guise of a normal family residence, became a place of unimaginable horror for Junko. Over the following days, she was held captive and subjected to severe and relentless abuse at the hands of Hiroshi and his friends. 2 days after the kidnapping, Junko's family filed a missing person report, and upon getting wind of the report, Hiroshi and his friends forced Junko to call home and forced her to say that she had come home of her own free will. She has run away, she is safe and is with her friends. So now, after getting Junko's parents and the police out of the way, they did something with Junko which is beyond all. Mastro City Shinji, at whose house they had kept Junko, had told his parents that Junko was his girlfriend, but they knew that there was nothing like that, but still they kept quiet out of fear of the Yakuza. And after that, Hiroshi and his friends tortured Junko for 44 days, so different boys raped her more than 500 times, and when they were not satisfied with that, those heartless boys beat her very badly and hung her upside down and used her as a punching bag. And the torture did not end here. They inserted scissors, bottles, rods and exploding hot iron bulbs in her genitals. Those brutes crossed all limits of torture with that poor 17-year-old girl. They did not think even once before they cut off her breasts. They used a lighter. They also burnt her genitals and other body parts, and not only that, they crushed her abdomen by dropping heavy dumbbells, and she was made to drink urine and eat coconut juice. They tortured her so badly that she was not able to stand on her feet and she had to crawl even to go to the washroom. Just imagine this entire torture went on for 44 days, and on January 4, 1989, they poured lighter fluid on Junko's entire body and burnt her, and this final torture also lasted for 2 hours, and at the end of that day she died. Even after Junko's death, they still had to see there was no remorse of any kind on their actions. It's like they weren't even human. They wrapped Junko's body in a blanket, put it in an empty drum, filled the drum with concrete, and they got rid of it, and this is how this 44-day torture ended with Junko's life. On January 23, 1989, Hiroshi Miyano and Joe Ogura were arrested by the police for the rape of a 19-year-old girl, a crime they had committed the previous December while Junko Furuta was still being held captive. During the interrogation for this case, the police also began questioning them about another murder that had occurred around the same time. Misunderstanding the questioning, Hiroshi and Joe thought the police were referring to Junko Furuta's case and ended up revealing everything about Junko, believing that was the murder being investigated. In reality, the police had been asking about a different murder case altogether. However, Hiroshi and Joe, out of fear and confusion, confessed to their involvement in Junko's abduction, torture, and murder. This unexpected confession led the authorities to uncover the horrific details of what had happened to Junko during her 44 days of captivity. When Hiroshi, Joe, and their accomplices, Shinji Minato and Yasushi Watanabe, faced trial, they pleaded guilty. Despite their admissions, many believed the justice system failed Junko, her family, and society. Hiroshi, being considered a minor at the time, received only a 17-year sentence, which was later extended to 20 years. Shinji Minato received a 9-year sentence, Yasushi Watanabe was sentenced to 5 to 6 years, and Joe Ogura received 8 years in prison. There was widespread outrage over these light sentences, as many felt that all 4 should have been given life imprisonment for their heinous crimes. However, their status as minors at the time of the crime resulted in relatively lenient punishments. Adding to the injustice, Shinji Minato's family, who had known about the crimes being committed in their home for 44 days, did not face any legal repercussions for their failure to report the situation to the authorities. Junko Furuta's parents, seeking some form of justice, filed a civil suit against the parents of the 4 boys involved in their daughter's torment and death. They won the lawsuit, which provided some measure of accountability. Junko's funeral was held on April 2, 1989, attended by many who were deeply affected by her tragic story. The emotional ceremony included heartfelt tributes, one of which was a touching memorial written by one of Junko's school friends at their graduation, honoring her memory and the life she had been so cruelly denied. At Junko Furuta's funeral, there was a poignant moment when the school principal presented Junko's diploma to her grieving parents. This act was a symbolic gesture, honoring Junko's hard work and dedication to her education, which she was tragically unable to complete due to her untimely death. Junko's case remains one of the most brutal and horrific torture cases the world has ever seen. The sheer cruelty and suffering she endured have left a lasting impact, and even today, people continue to remember her and pay their respects. Her story serves as a somber reminder of the depths of human cruelty and the need for vigilance in protecting the vulnerable. In the video recounting Junko Furuta's tragic story, the creator thanks the viewers for watching until the end. They acknowledge the significant amount of time and effort it took to research, produce, and edit the video, expressing a heartfelt appreciation for the support. By subscribing to the channel, viewers can help the creator continue to produce more content like this, bringing attention to important stories and raising awareness about issues that need to be addressed. The video ends with the creator expressing gratitude and a promise to return with another compelling story in the next video, inviting viewers to join them again as they continue to shed light on the darker aspects of human history and society.